there is this final, very important piece of this conference, which is a live recording of a podcast here on stage. So I think Krasi needs to give us some instructions, like be quiet, wave your hands, or I don't know what is it like to be an audience of a live podcast. So, yeah, I think you have to improvise it right now, but I won't give you an introduction. He's the famous person, Krasi. We already announced him as a co-organizer of the conf. He was so helpful with dealing with all these panels. So guys, round of applause for Krasi.
Okay, hey. Yeah, so the idea is that our conversation with me and Rado and maybe someone of the other guys, I don't know if you want to just join here. The idea is that we'll record this and maybe a week later or something I'll actually release this as episode number 15 of my podcast. So I'll basically talk like all this thing happened in the past. So it may be a little bit weird, I guess, but yeah, we'll see. You're free to shout and clap and stuff. I guess it's fine. So I'll make a short pause, so it's easier later to edit this thing. So yeah, just be quiet. Hey everyone, this is episode number 15 of my podcast. This is episode which is live recorded at this event called react-not-a-conf. And I have some awesome guests here. I'm not going to present them. I want to start by saying that the conference was really nice. It was really interesting. And I want to ask Rado to share the experience, like how you find the conference through your eyes, the conference that happened a week before, like a week before.
I mean, most of the stuff I have seen is all the fires who didn't happen, like all the small incidents which went well. So I think everything went so far so good. I mean, we still have sometimes to screw up something. I'm still looking, but so far I think it's quite well. Everything went all right. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I thought the conference went really well. I think it was really cool how a lot of the talks today came at different topics from different perspectives, but there were a lot of common threads throughout, so I thought that was quite cool. Yeah.
Also, Sophia's pretty amazing. This is my first time here, and I know some of the other speakers' first times here, and yeah, you guys have a pretty rad city.
Yeah, I think I can only second what was already said before. I was told this was going to be like a tiny community conference, but at some point people had to stand, and because there were not enough seats, and people are really excited. The questions were also always really good. Had some really nice conversations in between, and yeah, also a super well organization, obviously.
Okay, let's talk about the organization a little bit. So let me share my experience. So thank you for the awesome answers. I'll just start with my experience. So I landed and I spent like 40 minutes waiting in front of the airport. No one was there. I was just like a miserable kitty out there. Families, they were really happy, like seeing like some parents and stuff. They were like really happy, like giving a hugs and something. I was just sitting there and I was just doing nothing. Then they appear, they pick me up, and because of the traffic jam, we spent like 10 minutes crossing the ghetto or something, and I'm really happy that I'm alive, actually. Then today, I decided to support the event and basically like put this t-shirt on. And then I went to this room, which was about changing clothes and stuff, and someone walked me inside. And someone walked me there, and it was really hot without air conditioning. So that's how the conference started for me. So yeah, this was more of a joke, to be honest. the conference was really nice. This format about the panel after the presentation is really awesome. I saw it in other conferences, and it's really nice. But I do remember all this stuff. I promise. I do remember all this, all these experiences. Okay, so my idea about this episode was just to go through the kind of the topics of the conference, and basically I'll just ask some questions around them. So the first talk was about legacy projects. I know that we all handled legacy, I guess. Do you, Jeanette, what you're doing there? Okay, yeah. So this is me at the airport. People which are listening now, they can't see anything, but yeah, anyways, it's fine. So about the legacy projects, we all have to handle legacy. How do you think, who should be responsible for handling the legacy code? I mean, by who, I mean, is it like a work for more experienced guys, or it's like for more junior people, or it's for the people which are just working in the company for years, or who is in charge? For example, with SoundCloud and ProductHunt and your companies.
For us at SoundCloud, it's definitely a shared responsibility. Like we have platform teams, so all the people that work on all web projects, they feel that they're responsible for this, and it's something that we have actually weekly syncs, because we don't sit at the same table and we all want to be on the same page. We always bring up these topics, and like every month we have a bug fixing / rethinking architecture day that we block for the entire developers, for all developers, all web developers, and then we try to, like, as along, like the system is kind of falling apart every day, like a little bit, and like so we like try to like fix it while it's running all the time. Yeah, it's kind of how we do this.
Okay, nice.
I mean, we're simple, man. Like the way I'm looking about legacy is something which is unavoidable, and I just follow some small rules about it. Like, for example, I follow the Boy Scout rule, where we move to a place in our system, we just make it a bit better and improve it, just a little bit, just to make it cleaner every time you touch something in the system. And the second thing we try to do is have a core shared vision in the whole team of where we want to go, and not have like, okay, we would spend 2 months rewriting this in, for example, when we were integrating GraphQL, we didn't say, yeah, we sit 3 months and rewrite the whole application. We just said, okay, this is the guidelines, this is how we do the stuff, this is how we want to be in some brighter future, and the team just follows, and following the Boy Scout rule, just you go to a new place, you integrate that, and you slowly move up, and you see, okay, this is the good and the bad parts. Like in JavaScript world, one of the most important books was Douglas Cockford's Good Parts. And as every system has its good and its bad parts, and in the legacy system there is stuff which is broken and stuff which is not very usable, and people have to just know, okay, don't use that, and just build a wall around it and move it slowly down, like move the garbage down, and at some point hopefully it will move so down that nobody will touch it, or it will be dead. And we try to do this just for it, and also we are a very small team, and we have Lado who fixes all the stuff in the background as well.
Yeah, I guess for us, I think the thing that really that I was thinking about when you were asking the question was that it's really important that both juniors and seniors and all levels of developers are working on legacy code. You learn so much from other people's mistakes and also your own. And I guess for us, the way we structure it at least is we have about 30 developers, and we're split into 3-ish, 4, 5 feature teams. So each of those teams has ownership over a particular set of features in our product, and any legacy code that kind of is part of that column of work is worked on by that team. And then if there are any other projects, like internal projects or things that don't quite fit into those feature teams, then we have a directory, and we know instantly which repositories are looked after by which teams. So if bugs appear, then it's quite easy to assign that work. and then yeah, it just gets prioritized within the team. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
As someone who is a junior developer, please, please, please support your junior devs. Like, don't just give them legacy code. Because I think part of the problem is, like, as a junior developer, sometimes you don't know, like, if you're not understanding something because it's set up in kind of this funky mishmash way, or if it's because you don't understand whatever fundamental is there. So I think having someone to pair with and support with that really helps, like, navigate the legacy system. And then I guess at my company, Blacklane, we are kind of in this position where we're kind of trying to migrate a legacy code base to something more future-proof, is I think the term we use. And there's like teams taking different approaches. There are some who are trying to, like mine, who are trying to refactor the whole thing and then kind of move it, or some that are building something separate that's completely new to just kind of stick in there and delete the rest. But so we'll see what works better. But
okay, that was helpful. We're thinking about the JavaScript fatigue. Do you like experience this thing? I mean, for me, it's always difficult to be like to know what's going on in the JavaScript land. Like every day is a new framework type of thing. So how you handle this thing? Do you? I mean, like, is it actually a problem for you? Maybe not. Some people just don't care about what's going on, right? They use what they have to use at work, and that's it. But if you do, how you keep updated with all the stuff happening? Rado, please be here.
I'm just opening the. We locked another speaker and we are trying to lock him out. Sorry. So it's not only your experience, you know.
Okay, awesome. Okay.
I'm joking. Nobody is locked. Everybody is fine. Non-speakers were hurt in making this event, right? Yeah. So the thing about fatigue is the way I do it is I'm just like reading code, like just browsing around, like the 37 signals way. We see that, remove it from our memory, and if it's important, it will pile up. And when I have a problem, I just research it. And I try to just, when we become older, I just start to go to like more proven stuff. Like I would choose Redux because it's the most stable thing. I wouldn't choose some smaller alternative for this because there isn't so much things you can do. Sometimes I do something extreme like moving to Apple and GraphQL in a very early stage because the cost benefit was very, 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 very important and it was addressing exactly the issues we have. But technically most of the new stuff, in my opinion, was very small. Like every day there is a new calendar library, charting library, routing library, form library, and all of those are cool, but they're not our main application. Our main application is its architecture and its data structures, and those don't change so often. So I just leave the news pass me by. If something is interesting, I just, okay, this can be useful someday. I bookmark it, I never look at it again. When I need something, I just Google it.
Yeah, I guess I definitely relate to the concept. I guess I don't let it get to me is kind of what you're saying as well, right? Like it's trying to be focused, especially on the stuff that you are actually needing to do for your job. You know, that's the stuff that you really want to learn. But yeah, there's definitely like that fear of missing out. You know, as soon as you hear some new buzzword, you're like, oh shit, I really should know what that means. But the thing that actually works for me is I have a list, right? So I'm super list oriented. So I add things to my list as I think, oh, that's something cool that I should just, maybe if I just read the README of that project, you know, just so I don't need to understand how it works or how to use it, but so that I know if I come up against something that repo or that project or whatever might solve, then I can remember, oh, okay, I know what to Google now. And then, yeah, I have a little thing that I'm trying where it's like 5 minutes a day after lunch, I look at my list of things to learn and I just spend 5 minutes reading a README. And yeah, I think it works pretty well. Try not to get overwhelmed though, for sure, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I really like to talk about the documentation, to be honest, because it's kind of close to me. I just like to write stuff, not only code. So I know that Rado, you have a blog which is like, I don't know, 10 years old or something, but you're not updating it, right?
No, I have another blog.
You do have your own blog, right?
Yeah.
But you're not updating anything there? You're not posting or something?
I think every 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, you don't
Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, do you find writing articles as a nice way to like teach people something, like to give knowledge to people or something? Because for me that's kind of a way to share what I know, even though that's not a lot, but it's kind of a nice way to share stuff. Do you write like articles or something?
I think my approach is I would love to be able to write good blog posts and share the knowledge, but because I'm not a native speaker, I have the impression that when I write these things, it's much more complicated to write this down and make it like coherent and have it make sense. So I prefer to write talks and then go to conferences and then kind of like improvise on like the way I explain this. Because I know I'm not that good at written English. I mean, I can write English, but like a good blog post is really complicated, and I'm not sure I have mastered that yet. But I would love to be able to.
That's really interesting perspective, because my last book, which like some people were talking about, it's like completely like I'm reading it and I'm wondering, shit, people are actually like downloading this thing and they're reading it, and it's full with typos and stuff, and people started actually contributing to the project, the book that we're going to give at the end, and they like mentioned, hey dude, we know that you're not native speaker, but use an app or something. Like I by the way, I paid for the Hemingway app back in the days, and it was kind of well, it gave me some good suggestions. So it's indeed really good way to, if you write something in English, it tells you, hey, you know what, this verb in this sentence doesn't sound really good. It's that good. It's really some magic. I don't know how they do it, but I had so many errors, so I decided I'll just like pay to an editor, and he's like literally like changing the stuff, and it was quicker at that time. But yeah, I don't think that the fact that you don't have experience with English should like kind of stop you. Yeah, I don't know.
Are you actually reprinting the book without the typos? Because I get the copy with the typos. I'm joking, don't care. I wouldn't read it anyway. on the paper, I would read it online, of course. So yeah, so I'm actually also not a native speaker, obviously. But actually my English is better. My English writing, as bad as it is a lot better than my Bulgarian ones. Some people can confirm quite well. So actually last year I noticed that I have a lot of like written notes, because for me it was very easy to start writing stuff to structure my thinking and my knowledge. And also like sometimes when I design systems, I use ASCII art in the document with Markdown just to like draw stuff to like make itself clear to me. And then I noticed that when I was preparing all the talks, I have like a big Markdown with a lot of like interesting things, and actually a lot of pieces which would be a great blog posts, which couldn't fit into talks. And that's the reason, like last year, I started posting pretty much every month and have to have at least one blog post. Usually I have two. This month I don't have any because of the conference. But my writing is bad, but it's getting better. Like you get feedback, you see all the mistakes, and it's really great when you start reading your old stuff and you start seeing all the typos, and you say, that's bad, but at least I see them now, and I fix them as much as I can, which is not much. And I use an app called Grammarly, which improved a lot of things for me.
Yeah, well, actually, in a previous life, I was a copywriter, so I'm avoiding the hell out of that by actually taking myself out of my comfort zone and, yeah, doing talks. Blog posts and talks take a lot of time, and I just don't have the energy to do both. So this is why I'm here today.
I also don't write articles or blog posts, really. Basically, like, I mean, when it was my job, sure, all the time, but now that it's not, I don't really, because I have a problem, I have a hard time coming up with the ideas for a blog post or an article, but I would like to think I'm very good at helping other people who might have like an outline but are not sure how to articulate it in a way. Like, that's more where my strength is. My strength isn't necessarily like coming up with an idea from scratch, but like more helping other people shape their own ideas, which is if you have technical writers in your company, I'm assuming they do the same thing. And it's kind of one of those things, like, people are a little bit scared of technical writers because they're like, oh, they're just gonna come and like correct my English and like, you know, tell me I'm a bad speaker. But we're really just like, they're here to help you. Like.
Yeah, okay. Well, I kind of think that you can't actually make money from writing. That's the worst part. I mean, writing on technical topics, not writing code, because we know that we're rich people, right? We're like all the developers are like rich people. Why are you laughing? That's the perception. My friends, which are not developers, they know how. Oh, you work in IT, okay, it's fine. You could pay the bills and stuff. It's yeah. Okay. What else? So I think I'm trying usually to make my podcast 30 minutes. That's my goal. Like every time, it usually goes like 1 hour. And I think we have enough material for this hour. And I know that it was a long day for some people. So yeah, I kind of want to wrap this up. Yeah, so thank you being part of this podcast, live. And you'll hear yourself like in 2 weeks' time or something. Maybe 1 week? Yeah, I don't know. Just for the birthday of Rado. Do you want to say something like for the end of this conversation? Like no? Okay, no. Thank you, yeah, and yeah, let's just give some clapping at the end, right?